What do you get when you mix political influence and extreme wealth? Apparently, half of the world's leaders. Vladimir Putin is one of the richest people in the world. He claims that he's a humble statesman with an annual income of $140,000, but we don't think anyone is fooled by that. According to experts, he may be the wealthiest person in the world, with assets totaling up to $200 billion. That includes £95 billion of gold reserves hidden in mysterious places. They believe that the majority of his wealth came from blackmail. Somehow, we don't have a hard time believing that. In 2017, a financier named Bill Broder testified to the US Senate Judiciary Committee. He said Putin amassed most of his wealth after a Moscow court jailed oligarch Mikhail Khodorkovsky in 2003 for fraud and tax evasion. After Khodorkovsky's conviction, the other oligarchs wanted to avoid the same fate and asked Putin for a solution. Putin's answer was 50%, meaning 50% of their earnings. And the money wasn't for the presidential administration of Russia or the Russian government. That 50% was going straight to the Vladimir Putin Golden Toilet Fund. To put that joke into context, Putin owns a gold-plated toilet. He installed it on his $716 million plane, nicknamed the Flying Kremlin. It's an Ilyushin IL-96-300PU, which is basically a flying fort that can soar at 900 kilometers an hour. In case the gold toilets wasn't fancy enough, the plane also has a gym, a bar, and 3 bedrooms. And for when Putin needs to take work with him on the go, there's an advanced communication system on board that allows him to command troops during combat. Thank goodness. For when he wants to travel on the ground, it's rumored that Putin is the owner of 700 cars. If that's true, he could drive a different one every day for almost 2 years without a repeat. It's also rumored that he owns 19 houses. I thought he claims that he lives in a modest apartment. And while we're on the subject of things he's probably lied about, Putin is also the secret owner of the largest private residence in Russia, allegedly. Nicknamed Putin's Country Cottage, this gigantic house is 190,000 square feet and cost $1.4 billion to build. Clearly whoever named it hasn't been in a cottage before. It sits on a cliff overlooking the Black Sea and it has everything visitors could want. Spas, a marble pool lined with statues of Greek gods, a music parlor, an amphitheater, a Vegas-style casino, and a state-of-the-art ice hockey rink. Not to mention the nightclub, stocked with stripper poles, and a bar room that showcases more than $100,000 worth of wine and spirits. Most of the house is decorated in extravagant furniture, from $500,000 worth of dining room furniture down to $850 Italian toilet brushes. We're not sure why that's a thing, but Putin has them. The Kremlin denies Putin's ownership of the property, but no average businessman gets private security from the Russian Federal Security Service and a no-fly zone above their house. But that's not surprising, he isn't known for good decision-making. Another world leader with a taste for the finer things is Maha Vajiralongkorn, the King of Thailand. In 2022, Vajiralongkorn's net worth works out to be somewhere around $30 billion. Most of that money comes from the Crown Property Bureau. The title holds over 16,000 acres of land in Thailand, with over 40,000 rental contracts nationwide. Technically, the money isn't his, but rather belongs to the government. The Crown Property Bureau controlled the royal fortune on behalf of the monarchy, but in 2018, they announced they were transferring assets to the king. By putting the fortune under his direction, he made it his. $9 billion of the money is in stocks. It's estimated that he has 23% stake in Siam Commercial Bank, Thailand's second largest lender, and a 33.3% stake in Siam Cement Group, the country's largest industrial conglomerate. A leader who's invested in the country's money and construction. What could possibly go wrong? Truthfully, the young king is known for his extravagance. He owns a fleet of luxury cars, including a Maybach 62 worth $700,000 and 3 Rolls-Royces worth a combined $4.3 million. But who is a man without his best friend? The Thai king's best friend was his toy poodle named Fufu. This little guy was a national icon. He would wear little outfits and would accompany the royals to important state dinners. The king even declared him an Air Marshal chief. Not sure how practical that is, but we're sure he looked adorable in his little uniform. Unfortunately, Fufu passed away. However, he didn't go out quietly. In fact, his $2 million funeral was a fancier event than most people will see in their lifetime. The country observed the 4 days of traditional Thai funeral rites before Fufu was cremated, and he can't let his dog have all the glory. Maha also spent $31 million on his own coronation ceremony. It's only fair after you went to all the trouble of being born. He earned it. The celebration lasted for 6.5 hours. The king was presented with sacred objects, like the royal 9-tiered umbrella lined with gold, and the sword of victory, made of gold and inlaid with diamonds. Both items pale in comparison to the most outrageous gift, the 16-pound gold crown of victory. The citizens of Thailand can sleep soundly, knowing their government is making good financial decisions. Hassanal Bolkiah is the Sultan and Prime Minister of Brunei. His country is overflowing with crude oil and natural gas reserves, and he has a global real estate portfolio that includes the Beverly Hills Hotel. With these streams of income, it's no wonder the Sultan is worth $30 billion, and he's not afraid to spend it. Bolkiah is a big fan of gold. It's rumored that even his sinks are gold. You can see his favorite metal covering the surface of his Rolls-Royce. The custom-made luxury car has an open top and an umbrella stand, and it's coated in gold from the grills to the tires, which brings its total price to about $14 million. When he doesn't want to take his Goldsmobile for a spin, he can drive any other of one of his 7,000 cars. His collection is worth a combined $5 billion, and it's believed that he and his family purchased half of all Rolls-Royces sold in the 1990s. That's definitely an extraordinary honor. In addition to a gold-plated car, the Sultan also has a gold-plated plane. His Boeing 747-400 is entirely decked out in gold and Lalique crystal. It's so luxurious that the $400 million aircraft was nicknamed the Flying Palace. It may not be that creative, but it's less scary than the Flying Kremlin. In total, Bolkiah actually has 3 jets, and he purchased an additional Airbus for his daughter. When he's not flying, he's using his planes to fly his hairstylist from London all the way to Brunei. We get it. It's hard to trust someone with your hair. It's reported that each haircut costs $20,000. It's unclear how often these trims occur, but we're sure that adds up quickly. Hassanal also loves art. He paid $70 million for an original Renoir called 2 Young Girls at the Piano. It's safe to say that this gem, along with the rest of his collection, is hanging in the sprawling palace. The Istana Nurul Iman Palace has 1,700 bathrooms and 5 swimming pools. It also has 110 garages to house all of his cars, and air-conditioned stables for his beloved horses. It cost $1.4 billion to build, and it holds the Guinness World Record for the largest residential palace. Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, Deputy Prime Minister, and Minister of Defense in Saudi Arabia, has a net worth of about $20 billion. The royal family of Saudi Arabia is reportedly worth $1.4 trillion. That amount is then split amongst all 15,000 family members. If you split the pot evenly, each person gets $93 million. In this crowd, that's a lot of gold toilet paper holders. The ruling monarchy draws most of its income from vast oil reserves that were found over 75 years ago. The state-owned oil company, Saudi Aramco, is one of the most valuable and profitable companies in the world. It's no surprise that it's the backbone of their fortune. And like you'd expect, these royals are big spenders, right down to the gold-plated tissue dispensers. One of the prince's most notable purchases was Leonardo da Vinci's painting titled Salvator Mundi. It's 500 years old, and he bought it through a proxy at auction for $450.3 million. We personally would have stuck with the $5 poster version, but each to their own. He's also shelled out over $300 million for the Chateau Louis XIV, located in France. Fortune magazine crowned it the world's most expensive home. It has 10 bedrooms, indoor and outdoor pools, a cinema, a wine cellar, and a moat with a transparent underwater chamber. Not enough room for the whole family, but probably the first cousins at least. When he's not donating to his own lifestyle, Salman is busy keeping his country the largest military spender in the Middle East. Saudi rulers spent an estimated $67.6 billion in 2018 on the military. They lead a coalition which is fueling an ongoing civil war in Yemen. Money and power can be lethal cocktails. Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan was the president of the United Arab Emirates and Emir of Abu Dhabi. He had a net worth of approximately $18 billion. His wealth came from controlling 97.8 billion barrels of oil reserves. Oil always means money. He also ran one of the largest sovereign wealth funds with reported assets of $830 billion. And don't fret, plenty of that money goes towards essentials. For instance, the sheikh has so many cars that he needed a place to store them. He chose to build a huge pyramid garage in the middle of the desert for storage and display. About 200 cars are on the floor in the museum, including his fleet of rainbow Mercedes SEL 500s, worth over $1 million. He wanted one for every day of the week, and color coding makes everything so much easier. These beauties earned him the nickname the Rainbow Sheikh, which he leaned into by adding rainbow details on a few of his other vehicles. His collection is full of quirky-looking vehicles, none more obvious than the giant classic Dodge Power Wagon. It's 5 stories tall with luxury bedrooms, a sizable living room, a fully functional kitchen, and several bathrooms. And it holds the world record for largest Dodge Power Wagon. It's unknown how much he paid for this monster, but we assume it's the price of a house plus extra for the wheels. If you took it on a road trip, you'd only be able to drive it around 40 miles an hour. You can make up the time by literally driving over the other cars. While his car collection is public, the Rainbow Sheikh also built up a huge secret real estate portfolio in London. It's a housing empire worth an estimated £5.5 billion. He picked up real estate in luxury neighbourhoods with an average price of £20 million. His annual rental income is somewhere north of £160 million, and the rich will continue to get richer. The late president passed away on May the 13th of this year. Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum is the Emir of Dubai and the Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates. He's responsible for the launch of the Emirates airline, one of the most luxurious airlines in action. He's also responsible for the growth of a bunch of economic assets in Dubai that are held under 2 companies, Dubai World and Dubai Holding. His various business ventures have earned him a net worth of about $14 billion. He spends his money as extravagantly as you would expect. His 1979 wedding was in the Guinness World Record book for most expensive wedding, at $100 million. It was a month-long event that included a wedding with 20,000 guests in a stadium, custom built for the celebration. While the trend of supermarket flowers storms the wedding circuit, this world leader built his venue from the ground up. Crazy. The Emir of Dubai is also a sailor, or at least we hope he is, considering he owns a $350 million yacht named Dubai. We know it's not the most creative, but that doesn't take away from the spectacle of his ship. It has 7 decks and enough room for 24 guests and 80 crew members. Fortunately, he doesn't only spend his money on things for himself. Al Maktoum has donated $5 million to the World Trade Center Victims Appeal. He also made a $100 million donation to his own foundation, the Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Knowledge Foundation. They aim to empower future generations and create knowledge-based societies throughout the region by funding research projects and initiatives. It's always great when rich people use their powers for good. Hans Adams II is the Prince of Liechtenstein and one of the richest people in Europe with a net worth of about $3.5 billion. A large portion of their wealth comes from their ownership of LGT Group, the largest private banking company in the world. The leaders of Liechtenstein have a long history of using their money to fund innovation. However, they also have a long history of collecting art. The collection has been built up over 4 centuries and includes 1,600 paintings, sculptures, and various other media, and counting. It's reported that the prince spends $17.8 million a year on art alone. Their treasures were hidden away when the Nazis annexed Austria in 1938. It wasn't until the early 2000s that the royal family decided to put the works on display. They spent $27.4 million to convert one of their Viennese palaces into a gallery. The building is full of priceless works dating all the way back to the Renaissance, one of which is Howell's Portrait of a Man, purchased for $3 million in 2003. It had been seized by the Nazis in 1938 and wasn't restituted until 1998. It's great that they've decided to preserve history in this way. Sebastian Piñera is the former president of Chile. He served 2 separate terms from 2010 to 2014 and from 2018 to March of 2022, and his net worth is approximately $2.8 billion. A large portion of that fortune came from Bancard, the credit card company he founded in 1976. He also made plenty of successful investments. He sold the TV channel Chile Vision to Time Warner for $150 million, and he sold his 26% stake in Chilean airline LAN for $1.5 billion in 2010. One of his biggest paydays was so controversial that his constituents called for his impeachment. In 2021, when the Pandora Papers were released, they exposed plenty of world leaders, including the president of Chile. He and his family had invested in a mining project called the Minera Dominga. They then sold their shares to businessman Carlos Delano with two separate contracts, one for $14 million, signed in Chile, and one for $138 million, signed in the British Virgin Islands. That's all fine, except the mining project site was an environmental protection zone, and Delano asked Piñera not to declare it, as a condition of the sale. Despite the attempted impeachment, Piñera was cleared of the accusations and finished his second term fairly unscathed. Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani is a member of the ruling Al Thani Qatari royal family, and he was the ruling emir of Qatar from 1995 until 2013. His current net worth is $2.5 billion. His wealth mostly comes from real estate and oil. The discovery of oil in Qatar gained the state financial prosperity and helped bring the Al Thani dynasty net worth to $335 billion. The Sheikh is famous for privatizing world-famous landmarks in London, like the renowned Harrods store, the Shard skyscraper, and the Victory Park Olympic Village built for the 2012 Olympic Games. The royal family also invested $210 million in real estate through a company called Solo Martel in 2021. Oil money means big purchases, and the former emir of Qatar is no exception. In 2013, Al Thani bought 6 uninhabited islands in Greece for $8.5 million. He fell in love with the area when he moored his yacht Katara off the Ekinades Islands. The yacht is a spectacle in and of itself. It's 408 feet long with a max speed of 20 knots and a range of more than 5,000 nautical miles. It has an estimated value of $400 million, so he guessed dropping $8.5 million on islands was kind of a deal. 6 for the price of 80 houses in America maybe. Sheikh Hamad is also famous for supporting the startup of the Arabian news network Al Jazeera. He loaned the network $130 million. Hopefully, that's not a conflict of interest. Mohammed VI has been the king of Morocco since 1999. His net worth is approximately $2.1 billion. His income seems to be made up of shares in companies and real estate. He's currently Morocco's largest landowner. Mohammed VI earned the title of Guardian of the Poor for making the fight against poverty one of his priorities. When he became king, he made political and economic changes and investigated the human rights abuses that occurred during his father's rule. He also created Mudwana, which is a law based on Quranic principles that grants extra rights to women in cases of divorce and property ownership. Despite being far more empathetic than his father, Mohammed VI is still a big spender, and he gets flack for it from his people. His daily life costs $967,000 a day, while a fifth of the people in Morocco has to survive on less than $1 a day. His formal residence is the Dar al Maktoum Palace in Rabat. He also has a palace in Fez and a summer palace in Agadir on the shore of the Atlantic Ocean. You can never have too many palaces. In fact, it's rumoured that he owns 12. One of his most recent real estate acquisitions is a $90 million mansion in Paris. It's close to the Eiffel Tower and it has 12 bedrooms, a swimming pool, a games room, a private garden, and private parking. To get between palaces, he has a private plane. It's a Boeing 737 BBJ that was originally built for the Emir of Qatar in 2008. It has a list price of about $90 million. He also likes to dress in luxury, proven when he was spotted wearing a Patek Philippe watch for $1.2 million. That's par for the course. You can't have a cheap watch when you own your own plane. It's blasphemy. The amount of money these people have can only be described as ridiculous. The King of Morocco has the lowest net worth of all of them, and his $2 billion is still over 64,000 times the average annual income in the United States. Yikes.